Oh, how wonderful it is. My Jesus promised he'll take care of me. Oh, how marvelous it is. My Jesus promised he'll take care of me. Oh, how wonderful it is. Ooh, Jesus promised he'll take care of me. Whoa, oh, how marvelous it is. Jesus promised he'll take care of me. Oh, I don't have to worry, no, about the things ahead. Cause all I have to do is live right and believe in what God said. I can call him in the morning, I can call him in the middle of the night. And when I call him, he'll make everything alright. It does not matter how big the problem may be. Jesus promised he'll take care of me. Jesus promised he'll take care of me. Oh, I don't have to worry about the things ahead. I said I don't have to worry, no, about the things ahead, no. I don't have to worry about things ahead. I don't have to worry about things ahead. All I got to do is live right. All I have 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 to do is live right and believe in what he said. I can call him in the morning. I can call him in the middle of the night. And when I call him, he'll make everything alright. It does not matter how big the problem may be. Jesus promised he'll take care of me. Jesus promised he'll take care of me. I don't have to worry about the things ahead. Cause I know who holds tomorrow. He's got me in his arms. I don't have to worry about the things ahead. I don't have to worry, no, about the things ahead. All I have to do is live right. 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 I can call him in the morning. I can call him in the middle of the night. And when I call him, he'll make everything alright. It does not matter how big the problem may be. Jesus promised he'll take care of me. Jesus promised he'll take care of me. Jesus promised he'll take care of me. Jesus promised he'll take care of me.
Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless his holy and his righteous name. Truly, I'm grateful to have another opportunity to share a worship experience with you by way of the social media. There are two announcements I'd like to make known at this time. We've been out of our church for a little over 5 months, and we plan to re-enter the church on March the 14th at 10 a.m. The services will be abbreviated, and we will observe those protocols that are designed to keep us safe and keep us healthy while we are on the campus. The second announcement is that we had to cancel our annual business meeting, and so it's been rescheduled for March the 26th at 7 p.m. So I'm looking forward to see all of you who can come. Our word today will come from the book of Numbers, Numbers chapter 13 and verses 32 and 33. Numbers chapter 13, verses 32 and 33. 32 reads as thus: And they brought up an evil report of the land which they had searched unto the children of Israel, saying, The land through which we have gone to search it is a land that eateth up the inhabitants thereof. And all the people that we saw in it are men of great stature. And there we saw the giants, the sons of Anak, which come of the giants, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers. And so we were in their sight. For the next few moments, I want to talk to you from this topic: looking at the vision through distorted lenses. Looking at the vision through distorted lenses. The setting in the saga of this narrative that I've read to you today is in Kadesh Barnea. Kadesh Barnea is the place where the Lord had led the children of Israel after he had miraculously and meticulously led them out of slavery, out of Egypt. The Lord had taken control of the Exodus. He had led them in a cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. This was an exodus. God was leading them from exile to an exodus. The word exodus in its etymology is actually two words. The word ex means out, and odos means path or way. So if you put it together, the word exodus means a path out or a way out. And what typically fuels an exodus is when people understand that they are moving from one location to a better location, that they are moving to a better destiny, something that's much better than what they already have. This is kind of analogous to a story, a classical story that all of us have probably heard at one time or another. It's called The Wizard of Oz. In The Wizard of Oz, it was written by L. Frank Baum. And in this Wizard of Oz story, there are four main characters. There is Dorothy, the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the Lion. And they are on an exodus to the kingdom of Oz because they believe that when they get to the kingdom of Oz, that they're going to have all of their questions answered, and they're going to have solutions to all of their problems, so much so that their quality of life is going to be significantly improved. And so their exodus involves them following the yellow brick road. When they get to the gate of the kingdom of Oz, each one of them is issued a pair of glasses that have green lenses. And immediately everything that they see in the kingdom of Oz is green. Allegorically speaking, the devil has issued any one of us who would dare to enter into this kingdom world a set of lenses that's designed to distort our vision. And as we look at this world and compare it to the world that God designed it to be, it is indeed distorted, because we look at a world that is addicted to materialism and intoxicated on narcissism. We see a world that places more value on material than they do the man. We see a world that places more value on cash than they do character. We see a world that places more value on treasure than they do on trustworthiness and communication that is incorrupt and not seasoned with lies. When people get caught up in this world, they tend to forget that this world and all the material things in this world has an expiration date. The Apostle Peter reminds us of this in his book in 2 Peter chapter 3 and verse 10, where he says that the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens will pass away with a great noise, and the elements will burn with fervent heat, and everything therein shall be burned up. And seeing that all of these things shall be dissolved, he asked the question, what manner of persons ought we to be in all holy conversation and godliness? Yes, I believe that the songwriter had it right in the lyrics of this song when she said, some folks would rather have houses and land, and some folks choose silver and gold, and these things they treasure and forget about their soul. But I've decided to make Jesus my choice. The children of Israel has come only a few miles from the promised land. God has miraculously and meticulously brought them to this point. When they got there, the Lord spoke to Moses, and he instructed Moses to select one man out of the 12 tribes of Israel to act as a spy and go into the promised land and spy out the promised land. So that was 12. 12 men went into the promised land and they spied it out. They was there for 40 days. But when they returned, 10 of them had a distorted vision of what the promised land was. All 12 of them agreed that the land was indeed fruitful and fertile. It was indeed, allegorically speaking, a land flowing with milk and honey. But what they did not agree on is, can we possess the land that the Lord had led them to, the land that the Lord had given them? Because of their distorted vision, over 2 million of them listened to these 10 men who had a distorted vision of the land, and they became somewhat discombobulated. They became so discombobulated that they devalued themselves. But they said that we are like grasshoppers. We are like grasshoppers in the sight of the inhabitants of this land. because there are giants in this land. The sons of Anak is in this land. Now, if you want to see and seize and secure the vision, you can't do it with a grasshopper mentality. You see, the children of Israel called themselves grasshoppers. The inhabitants of the land did not call them grasshoppers. The sons of Anak didn't call them grasshoppers. The Jebusites did not call them grasshoppers. The Amalekites didn't call them grasshoppers. The Amorites didn't call them grasshoppers. And the Canaanites did not call them grasshoppers. They called themselves grasshoppers. Now, it's one thing to be humble. Humility is one thing, but humiliation is something else. And they humiliated themselves because they believed in the distorted vision of those 10 who had come back from the promised land. Now, it's dangerous for you to relegate yourself to the level of a grasshopper. Because you see, when you look at a grasshopper does not build anything. A grasshopper does not even have a nest. A grasshopper doesn't even have a hive. Not only that, but grasshoppers don't plant anything. They wait until other people plant stuff, and then they come along and they eat it up. And thirdly, grasshoppers are unstable. They're always hopping. They hop from one location to another location. They hop from one weed to another weed. They hop from one bush to another bush. They hop from one tree to another tree. They are unstable, and they are unstable because grasshoppers are double-minded. And James says that a double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. As children of God, we need to be stable. We need to be firm. We need to be established. The Apostle Paul says, "Be ye steadfast and unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord. For as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord." In other words, the Apostle Paul says in so many words that you need to be like a tree planted by the rivers of water. And even though the weather may change, even though conditions may change, you will still remain anchored in your position because you are like a tree that's planted by the rivers of water. Now, when it comes to the response to the vision, in this narrative, in this text, I want to lift up 3 responses that we saw in the camp of the children of Israel. Number 1, the first response that we saw was a veto, if you will, of the vision. When the 10 men came back with a distorted vision and a bad report about the promised land, the first thing that the 2 million children of Israelites in the camp wanted to do is to veto the vision. They decided that, well, we need to just get out of here and go home. And the reason why they wanted to do that was because they didn't really want to go into the promised land anyway. You see, an exodus requires that you move. And if you move, it requires that you do some packing. And if you do some packing, that means that you're going to have to leave some stuff behind because you can't take everything with you. Oh, the Hebrew writer had it right when he said that we need to lay aside every weight and the sin that so easily beset us, and then run the race with patience that is set before us, looking unto Jesus, who is the author and the finisher of our faith. You see, when you have a distorted vision of the promised land, it will cause you to go backwards rather than go forward. In this camp, if you notice their attitude, you notice their behavior, it wasn't very long they began to talk about Egypt again. They began to talk about the place that had given them so much pain, the place that had given them so much a burden, the place that had put so many tears in their eyes. They said, we need to go back to Egypt. And why did Moses bring us out here anyway to die? And not only did they turn on Moses, but they turned on God. It's a dangerous thing to have a distorted vision about the promise or the blessings that God has given to you. Because you see, when they turned around to talk about going back to Egypt, they not only turned their land, turned on the promised land, but they also turned on God. They turned their backs on God. God had led them to where they were. They didn't get there by happenstance. God led them there. And no, it didn't look like that they expected it to look like. But you see, God's ways are not our ways, and his thoughts are not our thoughts. For as high as the heaven is from earth is God's ways than our ways, and his thoughts than our thoughts. And so they turned on God because they had, or they accepted, a distorted report of the vision that the 10 came back and reported to the camp. Oh, let me say this before I move off of this. We cannot take the advice of everybody. David had it right when he said, blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doeth he meditate day and night. The second response here is that we see that some in the camp voted for the vision, but they voted for the vision without having conviction. They was not really committed to the vision. They were excited, they were enthusiastic that they had come out of slavery, they had come out of Egypt, and that they had been promised that they was going to be led into a promised land, a land flowing with milk and honey. But they were not convicted in this. It was somewhat like the parable that Jesus gave over in Mark chapter 4, when he talked about a sower that went out to sow seeds. And he said some of the seeds fell by the wayside, and the birds came along and ate them up. And then some of the seeds fell on stony ground. And when the seeds popped up and the sun came out, it burned them, they scorched, and went back down because their roots were shallow. You see, my brothers and sisters, as a child of God, we got to have some roots. We got to be rooted in this thing. I hear Paul saying in Colossians, 2:7, he says we need to be rooted, built up, and established in the faith, whereas you have been taught. When you've been established in the faith, then you can say things like Job said, when Job said, though he slay me, yet will I trust in him. We can say things like Paul said, when Paul said, for we know that all things work together for the good of them that love the Lord, for them who are the called according to his purpose. And then Paul went on record by saying, he said that in everything that he can be content wherever he is, because he knows that the God that brought him out is the same God that's watching over him and the same God that's keeping him every day of his life. Instead of them being fearful, they should have been trusting in the Lord. In other words, as the psalter said, the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked Even the enemy and my foe came upon me to eat up my flesh. They stumbled and fell. Yes, they should not have had any fear in their hearts. Fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be envious against the workers of iniquity, for they shall soon be cut down like the grass and wither like the green herb. God is our refuge and a very present help in the time of trouble. Whatever God leads you into, he's able to lead you through. God had proven himself that he is able, that he's capable of doing whatever they need done, whenever they need it done. So that is the second response. And then the third and the final response we see here from some of the children of Israel. What that was a cry, that was a voice of victory crying out. And this voice of victory that cried out was none other than Caleb and Joshua. Caleb said, let us go up and possess the land at once. In other words, Caleb said, what are we waiting on? God has given us this, and all we have to do is go up. All we have to do is show up. All we have to do is trust God. And you know, my brothers and sisters, I like Caleb because you see what Caleb is saying here is that we should have a sense of urgency about the gifts and about the blessings and about the vision that God has given to us. For you see, when God opens up a window of opportunity, we need to be willing and ready to move promptly, to move immediately, to move without hesitation. I'm reminded when the children of Israel was in what one would call geographically a cul-de-sac. For Baal-Zephon was on one side and for Hathorah was on the other side. And Pharaoh's army was coming from the rear, and the Red Sea was out in front of them. And they were trapped. But you know what? God knows how to deliver us. God knows how to provide a window of opportunity in what we may consider to be insurmountable situations. A strong east wind began to blow. You know the story. And the waters began to part. And the waters parted. And the ground between the waters became dehydrated. In other words, dry ground. And it looked dangerous, but you see, the children of Israel trusted this because they knew that God had done this. Whatever God does, you can trust God. Solomon says, trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not to thine own understanding, but in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. The children of Israel walked through this water wall path on dry ground because they trusted God, and they moved promptly because you see they understood that God was not going to keep this water wall pathway open forever. When God gives you an order to move, gives you a directive to move, just start marching, because whatever you need, God will provide it for you. The other thing that I see here among the children of Israel, the other response that I see is I see unity here. I see them coming together. Some of them began to want to come together to go into the promised land. And brothers and sisters, there is not much power in one drop of water. But oh, if you get enough drops of water together, it becomes tremendously powerful. If you get enough drops of water together, it can uproot trees. If you get enough drops of water together, it can pick up 18-wheelers and RVs and toss them around like Tonka toys. If you get enough water drops together, it can literally move houses off of their foundations. If you get enough water drops together, it can literally float a 1,000,000-ton aircraft ocean liner out on the water like a leaf would float on a river stream. Oh, there's power in unity. When we come together as one, and when we pursue what God has given us to pursue, we're not pursuing it by ourselves because God is with us. And if God is for us, tell me who can be against us? Oh, yes, The Lord has given us a vision. And I know sometimes it looks a little dim, it looks a little dreary, sometimes it even looks a little dark. But I want you to know that the vision is still real, and we need to still hold on to the vision. A reminder of a man by Dr. Martin Luther King. Dr. Martin Luther King had this vision, and he called it his dream. Listen what he says. I say to you today, my friends, so even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream. I have a dream that one day even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, a state sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream. I have a dream that my 4 children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Yes, I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day down in Alabama, with this vicious racist, with this governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, one day right there in Alabama, little black boys and little black girls will be able to hold hands with little white boys and little white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted. Every hill and mountain shall be made low. The rough places shall be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight. And the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. This is our hope. This is the faith that I go back to the South with. With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of this nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. Yes, with this faith, we will be able to work together, pray together, struggle together, go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will one day be free. This will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing a new meaning of a new song. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, and the land of the Puritans' pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And if America is to be a great nation, it must become true to this. So let freedom ring from the prestigious hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the heightening Alleghenies of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of California. Yes, let freedom ring from the Cavour slopes of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and mold hill of Mississippi. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And when this happens, when we allow freedom to ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, great God Almighty, we are free at last. Yes, Dr. Martin Luther King had the vision. And I want to suggest to you today, yes, things may look a little discouraging. Things may look a little bit disheartening. Yes, it may look even a little bit challenging, but whatever you do, don't let go of the vision. The Lord told Habakkuk to wait on the vision because the vision will come. He told him to write the vision. And when you write the vision, he says, run with the vision. And that's what I'm doing today, my brothers and my sisters. I've called hope to the vision. And I'm running with the vision. Sometimes I'm up, and sometimes I'm down. Sometimes I'm false accused. Sometimes I'm mistreated. Sometimes I'm talked about. Sometimes I'm pressed down. But I got a hold to the vision. And I'm running with the vision every day of my life. And in the words of Reverend James Cleveland, he said, I don't feel no ways tired. I've come too far from where I started from. Are you listening to me? Nobody told me that the road would be easy. Oh, but I don't believe he brought us this far to leave us alone. Lift your eyes unto the hills from whence cometh all of your help. God is on your side. God is still in control. And when it seems like things are out of control, instead of looking at it, look up and say, Lord, I'm looking at you. I'm not looking at the situation. I'm looking at the Savior. And I know in your due time, you will move. And I just want to tell you one more time, the God that we serve, he's able. And I want you to know today, this is the last Sunday of February. The last Sunday in the month where we celebrate blackness. But I want to leave this on you. Don't you let go of the vision. You hold on to the vision. You know that one day God is going to speak like he's never spoken before. And when he speaks, everybody has got to listen to him because God has highly exalted him and given him a name above every name. That at the name of Jesus, every Democrat, every Republican, every progressive, every independent, every governor, every mayor, everybody has got to hear what God has to say. Oh, hallelujah. I'm trying to quit here. But whatever you do, don't you let anybody discourage you. And if you got a distorted vision of the promise that God has made us, dispense with that today. We are on our way. You got to hold on. You got to hang on in there. God is still in control. God bless you.
Greetings. If you would like to give or offer donations to our church electronically, simply download the Givelify app via App Store if you have an iPhone or Google Play Store if you have an Android device. Next, search for the Greater New Prospect Baptist Church located at 14020 West Richmond Street, Needville, Texas 77461. It will have a purple logo on it as well as a green check mark to verify that it is a valid account. Next, you are to create an account and then begin your donations or make your offerings. Thank you. Blessings. Additionally, you may also send donations to P.O. Box 525, Needville, Texas 77461. Members may continue to contribute tithes and offerings to Greater New Prospect Church via pony mail or by visiting the campus between the hours of 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. on Saturdays and Sundays. May God bless.